I would like to welcome you all to the session. And in this session, we are going to discuss about the pathophysiology of the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland falls under the endocrine system or endocrine gland. And before going into the session, I would like to introduce myself as Dr.N.Aarthi, Assistant Professor, Department of Zoology, Chisarga College Program. Before saying about the pathophysiology, it is very much important to understand the structure of the thyroid. So let us see about the structure of the thyroid gland, and then we'll see about the pathophysiology, which will be easy for the understanding. Let us see. What is this origin? How it is originated from the embryo. So it develops from the endoderm of the embryo, and it is located just to the anterior region of the thyroid cartilage, which is present in the larynx. Larynx is located in the neck. The larynx is nothing but it is also called as the voice box. And the thyroid gland is the largest gland of the endocrine system. This is richly supplied with blood vessels, and it is a bilobed structure. The two lobes are connected by a bridge-like narrow structure called as isthmus. The gland weighs about 20 to 40 grams in the adult. It differs in the children. And it shows the thyroid follicles, which is composed of cubical epithelial cells and filled with a homogeneous material called colloid or thyroglobulin, which is secreted by the follicular cells. The thyroid gland is having the cells called as follicular cells, and this follicular cell will be secreting the colloid-like substance or the thyroglobulin, which we normally call as the homogeneous substance. It is of same kind. So this is the structure of thyroid gland. This is the thyroid cartilage. Anterior to the thyroid cartilage, the thyroid gland is present. And these are the two lobes, right lobe and the left lobe, and it is connected by a narrow region called as the isthmus. So this thyroid gland, so you can see thyroid gland is secreting, right? So besides what we say, the secretion, besides containing the blood capillaries, the stroma, that is the cells, contain small clusters of specialized parafollicular cells. Already we mentioned about the follicular cells. Apart from the follicular cells, it also has a cluster of special cells called as the parafollicular cells, or it is also called as the C cells, which secretes the calcitonin. And this is the only one gland. Usually the endocrine glands will not store the secretion. Normally, none of the endocrine glands stores the secretion. But it is somewhat different. The thyroid gland alone stores the hormone in large quantities, that is, which can extend nearly for 4 months. Okay? So because of that only, when we are going for the thyroid testing, usually it will be, if the gland is not working properly or if it is working, secretion is high, we cannot determine it immediately. It will be already stored for the 4 months. So it is little bit difficult. And the hormones of thyroid gland include the T3 and T4 hormones. Normally we call as thyroxine. The thyroid secretion is normally called as the thyroxine. That is tetraiodothyronine or T4. It is also secreting one more hormone called as T3, that is triiodothyronine. These two are the hormones secreted by the thyroid follicular cells. And the parafollicular cells will be secreting the calcitonin, whereas the follicular cells will be secreting these two, T3 and T4 hormones. Hope it is clear. And so this image shows a very clear a structure of the or a section of the thyroid gland, which shows the follicular cells. See, this is the follicular cells which is going to secrete the T3 and T4 hormones. And this is the thyroglobulin. That is the homogeneous substances or the colloid secreted by the follicular cells. Okay. And this is the parafollicular cells which are loosely placed. And this parafollicular cells will be producing the calcitonin. Thyrocalcitonin is secreted by the C cells. We already spoke about the C cells or the parafollicular cells. And this gland, that is the thyroid gland, is stimulated to secrete the hormones by thyroid stimulating hormone, which is secreted by the anterior lobe of the pituitary. Those hormones are called as tropic hormones, and hence it is called as the thyrotropin, which is going to stimulate or induce the thyroid. And that job is done by the anterior lobe of the pituitary. And see, the hormones secreted by the thyroid glands are thyroxine, which is nearly about 90% of the total secretion. And triiodothyronine will be 9 to 10%. That is almost 90% is T4 and 9% is T3, and remaining is only 1%. That is calcitonin, which is secreted by the parafollicular cells. And T4 and T3 are iodine-containing derivatives of the amino acid. So normally, you know, hormones will be either amino acids, peptides, amines. Only in this category, you'll be having the hormones. So what is the potency and duration? So how long the hormone will be viable? And how long it can be stored or it will be there in the secretion, in the blood. We already said that this is the only one hormone which is going to there for 4 months, will be stored. Then also, the potency is very much important. If it is stored, the duration should not affect the viability or the efficiency or the potency of the hormone. So T3 is 4 times more potent than that of the T4. Okay, so there are two hormones which is secreted by the follicular cells, T3 and T4. Out of that, T3 is 4 times more potent than T4, and T4 acts for a longer period than the T3. So this is the duration. So here you can have the comparison. T3 is more potent. That is viable. And T4 has a longer duration in the blood. So duration of T4 action is 4 times more than T3 action. So this is because of the difference in the affinity of these hormones to the plasma proteins. So the plasma protein should get attached with the T3 or T4. So based on the affinity only, the T3 is more potent and T4 is having longer duration. So T3 is very less attachable for the plasma proteins and combines very loosely with them. They don't get attached much, so that it is released quickly. T4 has more affinity and strongly binds with the plasma proteins, so that it is released quickly. Instantly it is released. It is released instantly. Therefore, T3 acts on the target cells immediately and T4 acts slowly. So whenever we wish, we can go and attach with it because it has more affinity. Alright. And what is the half-life? The thyroid hormones have a longer half-life. That is, T4 will be having nearly about 7 days and T3 will be varying up to 10 to 12 hours. Okay, so the potency will be more high for T3 and the duration will be more for T4. This is the difference. You can easily remember this. So how it is produced? How the thyroid hormones are produced? So now we know pituitary gland is going to stimulate the thyroid gland and the thyroid gland is going to secrete T3 and T4 along with that 1% of calcitonin will be produced. So how it is going to be produced? What is the mode of production? So it involves nearly about 5 steps. The first one is the trapping of iodine. So trapping of iodide, that is the iodide pump. Then next step is oxidation of iodide and then iodination of tyrosine. Then coupling of iodotyrosines and the last one is uptake and proteolysis of thyroglobulin. So normally the salt will be having the iodine content. Nowadays you can see in the advertisements also Annapurna iodized salt or something else. Many companies are there, Tata iodized salt. So why this iodination is? The blood needs iodine for the biosynthesis of thyroid hormones. So the blood or the gland is going to trap the iodide through a pump called as iodide pump. And once the iodide is trapped, it is going to get oxidized. And once the oxidation is over, tyrosine will be there in the follicular cells. The follicular cells will be producing the tyrosine, which will be there in the colloid. That is the homogeneous substance. And that will be iodinated. This oxidized iodide will be added to the tyrosine. And fourth step is coupling of iodotyrosine. T3 and T4 will not be produced as such as T3. Monoiodothyronine, diiodothyronine will be produced. One is mono and two is di. So monoiodothyronine and diiodothyronine will be coupled together or joined together to form the T3. And two diiodothyronine will be coupled to form the tetraiodothyronine, that is nothing but T4 or thyroxine. So this is the coupling of iodothyroxine. And once it is produced, T3 and T4 is ready. So it has to be taken and the protein, the homogeneous region possess the protein. That needs to be diluted. So that should be lysed or broken down. So that is the final step. Uptake of this iodothyronine and the protein is lysed. Then it will be reached to the bloodstream. Okay, this is the steps involved in the biosynthesis. And now we move on to the pathophysiology. What is pathophysiology? So the normal secretion is going on and this secretion is going to help in the metabolism. Thyroid is very much important to regulate our routine metabolism, then to regulate our body heat. Thyroid is very much important. Everything should be secreted in a nominal level.
which should not reach high or it should not go low. When it's getting biased, then we call this situation as pathophysiology. So this pathophysiology has two different types. One is hypersecretion and another one is hyposecretion. Hyper is more. When the gland is secreting more, then we call as hypersecretion. So when the thyroid is secreting more, what happens is hyperthyroidism develops. See, this region is where the thyroid gland is there. So when more hormone is produced, what will happen? I already said it is very much important to regulate your metabolism. When more thyroid is produced, you will be hyperactive. Metabolism will be very high. You will be eating more. What happens? Then also you will lose the weight. You will be looking very thin. This happens in the case of hyperthyroidism. See what happens. So let us see with the help of a GIF image. Hyperthyroidism, the gland is getting activated, more hormone is secreted. See, more hormone is secreted, accelerated metabolism, body is working more. So you lose energy. So automatically you look very thin. So one is this. Second thing is, it is going to cause a disease called as Graves' disease or exophthalmic goiter. So here it is mentioned as eye disease. See, this is Graves' disease. And it is inducing the antibodies. Additional thyroid hormone will be secreted. Your eyes will be, that is the eyeball will be coming out. Exophthalmic. Ophthalmic means eyes. X means out. So the eyeballs will be looking little bit bulged. So that we normally call as exophthalmic, which is also called as the Graves' disease. In this image, you can see clearly. This is Graves' disease. The eyeball is a little bit bulged. Goiter is this region where, because of the extraordinary working of the thyroid gland, it is getting bulged. Once again, let me show you. See, here it is getting bulged, and due to the oversecretion, the eye is protruding out. And because of that, it is called as exophthalmic goiter. So this happens in the case of hypersecretion. So these are the symptoms. So your body will be feeling warm. As I said, metabolism will be more, means what happens? The temperature will get high. So always you will be feeling warm. Warm enough. Always. The second one is shortness of breath. So you cannot breathe normally. So it leads to shortness of breath. Then loss of strength. Energy is getting lost. Continuously you're losing your energy. When metabolism is more, you lose the energy. So what happens? You have less energy. One is that. Then menstrual compliance. Because of this hypersecretion, it indirectly affects your estrogen and progesterone level, so which leads to the irregular menstruation. So that is also one reason for getting menstrual disorder or menstrual complaint. Then, as I said, weight loss, then rapid heartbeat. You'll be getting the palpitation. Your heart will be working continuously because metabolism is high. So automatically you'll be getting the rapid heartbeat, then diarrhea, automatically psychological symptoms. When you continuously work or your body is working in an extraordinary way, automatically you will be felt a little bit out of focus. Sometimes you feel down. So that causes the psychological symptoms also. Fear, irritability, or something is happening in my body. What happens? I am restless. So this makes ourselves a little bit down. And these are the symptoms of hyperthyroidism. Right? That is increased secretion of thyroid gland. Next comes the category hypothyroidism. That is lesser secretion of thyroid gland. So what happens when the hormone is secreted less? It leads to a disease called as cretinism, especially in the children. See how they look? They look very different. Their stomach, eyes, face modulation, everything will be entirely different. And then second one is mixed edema. Mixed edema is edema means accumulation of fluid. Accumulation of fluid is happening in the body. And mixed edema is, see, in the muscle region, more fluid will be getting accumulated, and that we call as mixed edema. And the last one is Hashimoto's disease. And this is a kind of immune disorder. Along with the less secretion of thyroid gland, the immune system is getting activated to cause a disease called as Hashimoto's disease. So this shows the immune response. Decreased thyroid function leads to Hashimoto's disease. Hyperactive thyroid changes the entire structure. That is, the other two is not going to affect the structure of the thyroid. Whereas Hashimoto's disease, this is going to change or alter the structure of the thyroid gland itself. Okay, so that is called as the Hashimoto's disease. So these are the structure functions of the thyroid gland and the pathophysiology of thyroid gland. The last one is too little thyroid hormone will be produced. That we call as hypothyroid. So these GIF images will make you to understand better. So thank you all. And here I would like to convey my thanks, or I would like to acknowledge the unknown people who worked for the GIF and the regular images, and also for the source of the content. And the video is only for the educational purpose. Thank you so much for your patient listening. And in the description box, I have given an MCQ. So just attend the quiz to enrich your knowledge, or to identify how much you have gained. Thank you once again. We'll meet in the next video in the same series of endocrinology. Thank you all.